Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Pinups Pinfalls. Yay! We're back on YouTube's and special guest. We have Miss Catherine with us.
Hi, Catherine. I'm Talise, by the way.
I'm Kira.
And this is Catherine.
And this is Catherine. So we are actually here at our local rec center. They're doing a Battlegrounds wrestling event tonight. So we're very hyped, very excited. A lot of energy going on. There's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of moving parts happening right now.
So you guys will hear it, totally fine, understandable. But we're going to do a quick, Q&A. We really want to deep dive into Catherine. She's an up-and-coming indie wrestler. She's 30 days in. 30 days, man. She's got that month in.
Did you start in?
I started in January.
Like
late
okay,
January.
So you are 2 months in.
2 months.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
The time has flown.
I know.
tell you.
So one of the big things that I want to start off with, which is the first question we ask everybody, what got you into wrestling?
So, it was almost 2 years ago. I went to my first indie show with one of my close friends, and it was the first time I'd ever been to anything like that. It was my first ever outing away, and it was just craziness. Like the energy was just so good, and the whole crowd was just craziness, and I loved it. I instantly fell in love.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. I think it was a Mega Pro Wrestling show in Rand, West Virginia.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, it was it wasn't a huge show, but there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I loved
So
it.
that turned you on to wrestling. Did you start watching wrestling after that?
No, I didn't start really actually following televised wrestling until probably I'd say almost a year after that.
Yeah.
Because I was just a casual fan. I'd attend shows here and there, but then I really started following it and being a big fan of it, and now I'm addicted to it. It's my favorite thing ever.
I understand.
Yeah. So what kind of got you into, because I met you before you started training, and I remember having a conversation with you about how I really thought you should start training, and you already had all these awesome ideas for your character, your gear, all of these really cool things that I at the time hadn't really thought of, so I felt real bad about myself. I was like, man, she's doing more work than I am, and she's not even training. What made you decide to take that next step and actually start training?
Well, I was really conflicted about it for a while because, obviously the pain and all of that you endure while you wrestle, I was really skeptical about, putting my body through that. But, I don't really...
Are we not recording?
Yeah. We are right now.
We weren't before?
No, we were.
Oh. Okay, I was so confused.
Sorry, guys. I just confused everybody. But go back to what you were saying. You
weren't sure about putting your body
about what
through.
you wanted to put your body through.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. The moves that you have to do and all the mental things that you have to remember. I didn't think that I was capable of doing it for a very long time, so I was really skeptical about stepping into it. But I finally made a decision. I was I'm tired of, being in this mental game of, is this going to work for me? Do I really want to go through this? And I took the step, and I did it.
And you know what? Oh my gosh. Okay, I can talk about how proud I am of Catherine all day long, because in the short time that she has been training, you pick up things so quickly. You are such a natural at this. First time I saw her take a back bump, I was like, her bumps are already better than mine.
Yeah.
100%. She's willing to try anything, which I love.
Well, I wouldn't say anything.
There are things that you've talked about being scared of that you've then tried.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The first time we did Germans.
Oh my gosh, I was so
I hate Germans.
terrified to take a German. I was literally trembling, getting ready to take it.
Bouncing off what you just said whenever you were talking about building basically that confidence level, and you were wanting to get yourself mentally prepared, and now that you're in the middle of getting yourself physically prepared, when do you feel like you would be comfortable, let's say you're getting in the ring and you've got a match? Do you feel like there's a timetable for that, or do you feel like If they were to come to you next week and say something, how would you feel?
I am definitely not ready for a match yet. So when I took the step in to start training, I had already told myself, I was like, I'm going to take as much time as possible to prepare myself before I have my own match. And if somebody were to come to me tomorrow and say, hey, do you want to wrestle on like a battle royal or something, small, I would say no, because I know for sure that I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And I think probably within the next few months, like, I would be slightly more ready, but I'm going to wait a very long time before I ever step into the ring for a match, definitely.
And I think that's one of the good things about where we train is that the people who are training us kind of get to know us, know our insecurities, know our confidence level, know what we're capable of, which is really beneficial.
Yeah.
So I think they might know before you do, because it happened to me. Like, they knew before I knew that I was ready to start doing practice matches and that I was maybe ready to have my first match, way before I did. Because they were saying, I think you're going to have your first match sooner than you think you are. Because they just, and I think part of what they know is that we're mostly in our heads. But one thing I love about training with you specifically is that you are just such a go-getter. You're already wanting to put together practice matches. You want to practice chain wrestling constantly, which is one thing I struggle with so much. But being with Catherine every Sunday, I'm working on chain wrestling more. I'm getting more comfortable with chain wrestling. So I have a huge reason to thank you, even though you've only been training like 2 months at this point, because you're just like, let's do chain. Come on, chain with me. And I'm like,
but see,
okay.
That's a wrestler's mentality already right there.
She's already
you guys
got
are
it.
playing off of each other. You guys are building specific set energies to help push that character dynamic.
Yeah.
Something she can come in like right out of the gate and be good at. You're coming in going, I've never even thought about that. But then it also brings that confidence.
It brings it out in me
yes,
too. So
exactly.
it's invaluable what you. I don't know how much you realized how much like that meant to me, that you are just like, chain with me, let's do it. And I'm like, okay. And you want to take Cornish heights from me, which makes me so happy, because that's one of my favorite moves, and I'm taking it. It's going to be one of my moves. But yeah, I've loved having this experience training with Catherine. So much.
The next one is, tell us a little bit about your character.
Yay. I love
Talk all about her.
Okay, so my ring name is going to be Demonia.
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 I like that.
I've always, like, whenever I think about like my gimmicks and stuff, I'd always plan for dark characters. Because in real life, I'm really, well, I wouldn't say like completely like colorful and bright and bubbly, but like I do have that essence to me, like just me, in real life, I guess. And I just want to switch it up. I just want to be somebody different who I truly see myself as. I see myself as being a darker, mysterious character with, just a darker, like, essence to me.
Yes, I like that. See, that's also a good spin whenever your character developing is a lot of people like to pick a character that they normally wouldn't walk out their front door and act like.
Yeah.
They want to personify something that maybe is either deep down or something that terrifies them that they want to own. So, I mean, or what they're comfortable with on most levels.
And
But
we've always kind of been told, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, but they're running the ropes.
When you're running the ropes.
We've always been kind of told, when you're thinking about your character, a lot of the times it's you, who you already are, but turned up to 11.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be true of you. It's going to be, and I hope that's going to be true of the character that I come out with. It's going to be us, but cranked all the way up to 11.
Yes.
I
It's gonna
love
be
it. I want to see
exciting.
it.
See, I love that term, like taking you and cranking it up to 11. So your trainer told us that. Told us that my first day that I was there. He was like, when you plan your gimmick, you basically take your personality and just crank it up.
Yeah, because you already know you.
Yeah.
So turning it up even more for that theatrical part that is part of wrestling is, I struggle with that so much because I'm a very in my shell kind of person. I'm very introverted. Most people know that about me. So that's where I struggle, is turning it up to 11.
Woo!
So Yeah, I'm gonna have to get there though.
Awesome.
I can do it. Okay. Yeah, so actually I wanted to, them running the ropes made me actually think of another question. The first time, and I think I've talked about it, like what it feels like, what did it feel like when you took your first bump?
Ooh.
Oh my
The
goodness.
the first bump you did was a back bump, or did you run the ropes first?
No, I took a back bump. Very
Okay.
first wrestling move that I did was a back bump, which is where, obviously you just land straight on your back,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So a little backstory to that. I have scoliosis, which is a curve in your spine. I've always had it ever since like middle school. And so taking a back bump, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be paralyzed. Like this is it for me. Like I'm going to
As a
literally
mom,
pass
that
away.
just made my anxiety go up a little bit. Like I would have been like,
Yeah, but taking it took me a while to get out of my head to do it because I was really, really scared I was going to hurt myself.
so were you scared because of what you already knew with the previous condition, or did you feel like it was mental and physical?
It was mental and physical, both, definitely. Because, taking your first wrestling move, it's scary,
It
I'm
is.
sure anybody that is training right now can say the same thing. Taking your very first move is like one of the biggest scares you can have.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was petrified to take it.
And if you're already in your head, and I know it might sound simplistic to take a back bump, but if you're already in your head, there are so many pieces to a back bump that you have to remember.
Yes.
You have to be
Yes.
like you're falling on a piece of ice. You have to keep your feet up. You have to slap your hands at a certain time. You have to tuck your chin.
But when
which
do
I'm
you know to
horrible at.
slap your hands
You just,
out?
and it's
like,
crazy because you just kind of feel it
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
You just kind of know. And I swear to you, I wish people would video me when I'm taking moves. I swear 100% I'm closing my eyes. When I take Germans, when I take suplexes, when I take body slams, my eyes are closed because I don't see myself getting flipped or anything. So even with a back bump, I think I close my eyes. With a front bump especially, I close my eyes. It scares me.
Yeah.
It puts me more at ease, I guess, if I close my eyes. I don't know if that's safe or good to do, probably not, but I'll work on it if I need to. But I wanted to know, what that impact was like when you did it.
Oh my goodness. It literally knocked the wind out of me. I got up and I literally had to stand like hunched over.
And that's something else
And just-
you gotta remember. Breathe out.
Yeah.
Which they forgot to tell you.
They didn't tell me to breathe out when I took it. He was just
Yeah.
like,
Whoops.
Yeah.
one of our assistant trainees. Jesse's an assistant trainee, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Our assistant trainee, he told me how to do it, told me all the you gotta slap your hands out, tuck your chin, all of
Feet
that.
up.
Yeah.
Lay on, flat on your back, one motion.
He didn't tell me to breathe out. That was the one thing he forgot to say.
Uh-oh.
So I, standing
Calling
there.
you out.
Yeah, Jesse. We interviewed him last time.
So I'm standing there preparing myself for the impact, and I finally do it. Finally hit the mat, and I literally, I was like in shock for a second because it completely knocked every single bit of wind out of my body. So I get up and I'm like wheezing, trying to stand
"You wanna
up.
do it again?"
Yeah, and then he was like, "Okay, that was good. You want to do it again?" And I was like, yeah.
okay.
You were like,
Yeah.
hard pass.
It's that attitude,
No,
though. She
no,
did it again and again
Yeah.
and
But
again,
it's-
and that's the
But it's good to want
that's the drive.
to keep it
Got it.
going. Because that's like whenever I keep feeling like I've used the same learning idea is it's like riding a bike. You know you're gonna fall, you know you're gonna hurt yourself at some point, but once you fall and hurt yourself, you already know how bad it can
Already,
get. So you're okay to keep pushing
And that's what
yourself.
they'll tell us, if we're really scared and in our head to take a move, once we do it, they'll be like, okay, and if it goes badly, because sometimes that happens when you take a move and
Like,
you're
okay,
brand
that's
new
the
at
worst
it,
of it.
that's the worst of it, get up and do it again. And you're like, okay. The first day we took Germans, I swore 'em off. Guess what? Every training session since, I've taken multiple Germans. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Do it, and
Another
it'll
thing,
get easier.
Yeah. Once you do
That's what they
it,
keep saying.
whenever I'm scared to take a move and I finally get myself to do it and I, actually do it, and then they're like, you just did that. I'm like, wow, I really did just do that. I don't know why I was so scared to do
Right.
it. it's always just that mental game. You you get scared, and then you do it, and then you're like, oh, you're fine.
And they say wrestling is 80% mental, 20% physical, and I can totally see that now because I have been terrified to take so many moves, but once I did it, I'm like, I did it. Like, that wasn't that bad at all. Like, when I first took a front bump, I thought it was going to take me forever to get to the point where I could take it.
Yeah.
But I did it in less than a month, and then I was out for 6 months after I got injured. So then when I came back, it had been probably 8 months total since I'd taken a front bump.
Yeah.
And we did a drill where we did all these back bumps, and then we did front bumps, and then that was it at the beginning. We were just warming up. And I did it. And I was like, this isn't so bad. So it's just getting out of your head and getting confident, and that's, you know, one of the things going back to the chain wrestling. You're getting me out of my head with chain wrestling because I'm always all up in it because chain wrestling for me is so confusing. I don't know why. I'm like, I don't remember how to get out of a headlock. You know what I mean? But then I'll just practice and practice and practice, and it gets easier for me. So I'm thankful.
So I actually have a really fun question. So where your wrestling adventure kind of started recently. So growing up at all, did you have any inspirational characters that came from wrestling at all? Or did you ever watch any that you really loved or any that stood out?
Well, I didn't really watch wrestling as a kid. You know, like I knew what it was. Because back when I was a kid, it was pretty popular, which it's still popular today, but back then it was like crazy popular because, you know, I grew up in the early 2000s.
So John Cena, The Rock.
Yeah, all the, you know, big man characters, they were really popular back then. So I like had knowledge of what wrestling was. I just never, you know, watched it because, you know, it wasn't the girly thing to do. It wasn't the girly thing to watch.
Yeah, a lot.
You know. So I didn't really watch wrestling as a kid. Like, I knew what it was, and I'd like, every once in a while, my mom would put it on, just like, it would come on after the local news, and she'd just, you know, let it play on the TV, but I never, like, followed it.
So now that you do indie, do you ever watch any now? Like, to just, like, learn moves, or maybe get some of that, you know, ring psychology, or see, you know.
To study.
Yeah, just study.
Yeah, I do actually, I follow WWE, like, crazy hard now.
Yeah.
Who's some of your favorites?
Ooh, some of my favorites.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
My number one favorite women's wrestler is Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
I love Rhea Ripley. See, part of her gimmick is actually what inspired me to be a darker, like have a darker gimmick. Because you don't really see that much in women's wrestling, especially around here. Like, you know, most of the women are really like.
Oh, in this area?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the women are either like super bubbly baby faces or like just mean, nasty heels, like rude.
Yeah.
Rude ladies.
Just whatever they're comfortable with pulling over.
Yeah,
or
so
what,
a darker character, you're right, you don't really see that a lot, especially around here, so that's going to be something really unique that you're going to bring to the table, which is going to be fantastic. So, yay, I'm excited about that. But go ahead, keep talking about your favorites.
So, yeah, Rhea Ripley, my number one woman.
Your woman.
I love Rhea Ripley.
Hello.
Hello. Let's see. I'm trying to think of more women.
You
This
really
is
like
why when we record at events, this is what happens.
Yeah,
so
this happens.
okay.
Listen, you really like Asuka too, right?
Yes, Asuka. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Yes, I love Asuka. You know, they don't have a lot of foreign wrestlers on WWE either.
Watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or in Japan. I mean,
Yeah.
or Stardom.
Yeah,
I mean, there
Stardom.
you go.
Yeah.
AEW, New Japan.
Yeah.
But nothing but Japanese wrestlers and some from the UK and things like that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
in the US.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
Yes.
Asuka is another woman.
anybody from NXT?
Let's see.
Was it you that talked about liking Chelsea Blackheart?
Yeah, Shelby Black. Gosh, I'm like drawing a blank.
No, it's okay. Listen, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
You need to look at Big Swole.
Do you watch AEW? Are you familiar at all with AEW?
I don't think I've ever watched an AEW episode.
Challenge accepted.
Because she likes kind of the punkier girls, so I don't
Yeah.
know that Big Swole would do it for her. I don't know. I'm trying to think of anyone on AEW. Maybe Chris Statlander. Her character's like.
Let's talk about a dark character.
She's like an alien.
Yeah, I was about to say, but let's talk about a dark character. Britt Baker.
She's not like.
She is a heel and a half.
Kind of she's looking for more like a moodier, like kind of a broody, not necessarily a vampire goth chick character, but that kind of dark.
Well, Chris Statlander is babyface. That wouldn't be up her alley.
Well,
she's just alien.
She's an alien. She's from the Andromeda Galaxy. Yeah, she's so cool. I like Chris Statlander a whole lot.
You just gave her a galaxy.
That's where she's billed as being from. But she is still out on injury right now. Who am I missing in AEW?
There is an AEW dark one. What about the Butcher Blade and the...
Oh, the bunny. Allie. She's kind of dark.
What about Kip Sabian and...
Penelope Ford?
Penelope. There you go. But she's attitude.
Yeah, she's super
She's just attitude.
I love Penelope Ford.
Yeah, I like Penelope.
I just am, it's been a while. Like, I cycle with how much I watch wrestling, and I'm kind of out of it right now.
We're going to cycle back into it very shortly.
We really need to, because I'm like, I don't know who, like, you were mentioning people from NXT that you really liked, and I'm like, I know Cameron Grimes. There was a
Timothy
Thatcher, and there was somebody else you named, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. I really and truly do not know who that is. I cannot remember who it was. It was another guy.
I really hope you guys can hear everything we're saying, because I feel like our decibel level is dropping further and further and further.
We're starting talking to ourselves.
We're starting to whisper over here.
We're starting just to have a conversation.
We forgot we had an audience. Ha! Jackery and Lethal. Yeah. One thing.
Yes.
It's
I don't mean to crash the party.
No, he's going to say
Jackery and Lethal.
Hi, Jackery and
Welcome to YouTube.
Lethal.
Hello.
Want to cut a promo or anything?
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of promo to cut, but
What do you want to say?
I'm here to do two things tonight, and I'm here
right.
to kill the business. I'm here to kill Rob Killjoy.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
I love it. Yay!
This is what recording live is all about. Going back to watching, not really watching wrestling as a kid, I have a question that kind of plays off of that, and I think is now even more interesting because you didn't watch wrestling growing up.
Exactly.
What would 8-year-old Catherine, or any age, like younger age, what would she think of you if she could see you now?
Like if you could go back and she would see you in character or something and be like,
and know that you are now 10 years later, because you're only 18. Still in high school,
18, by the way.
training to be a wrestler. What
is
would
so
she
awesome.
even think of the fact that you're now training to do this thing that you were like not even into because it wasn't the girly thing to do?
She would be over the moon excited.
Aww, I love that.
Because, okay, so when I was a kid, I never really like meshed with doing girly things. I've always been like the tomboy, you know. And from a really young age, my mom and my dad both, caught on to that and was like, well, she doesn't like to play with dolls. She doesn't like to do dress up and play pretend and all that. Like, I'd always hung out with boys as a kid. And so 8-year-old me would be absolutely over the moon with this because, this is like...
I love that. I do.
her hug now, because
That's so inspiring.
We're gonna put her over, guys. She's gonna be over.
Because that just means that when you were a kid, it was kind of something you always, I feel like, wanted to do, but just didn't feel like it would be accepted.
You didn't know what was going to help bring you out of your shell.
So now you know that your former self will be so excited because you've accepted it.
Yeah.
And now you're doing it. That's so inspirational.
And then 18-year-old Talise is kicking this Talise because she's like, girl, why?
Why'd you wait till you're 39 to start taking bumps? Your back has already given out on you.
So I do want to, unless I forget, I just want to real fast before we jump to the next segment. Now, where you are just starting out, do you do anything on social media that you want anybody to follow you on? Maybe learn as you learn, Are you going to be doing anything like that?
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to come out with my social media platforms for my gimmick just because, I haven't really been in the business long enough to I think, do that.
The build.
Yeah. So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, probably once I have my first whatever type of match I have for the first time, I'll probably come out with like a Facebook or an Instagram like a few weeks before that. And because I don't know, I've been thinking about doing it, but then I was like, well, nobody's gonna know who this is if I do that,
You never know, they could be watching this.
They could be, and it could also be a way for you to, if you had like a smaller following, like mostly us that are training with you, following that Facebook page or whatever social media page it might be,
Then
it
they're
might be
friends
a
of
way,
friends.
well, not only that, it might be a way for you to practice fleshing out your character. You know what I mean?
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because I'm now contemplating it for myself, maybe. It might be a way for us to.
But you've
practice.
also, when you started, we built this platform to help with the
We did,
the reach.
yeah, because I had already decided and maybe even paid for wrestling training when
Yeah.
we first started the
Yep.
podcast.
Yep.
And we were we were going to initially use this podcast and
As
the
a
YouTube
platform
channel
for her.
to announce. That's how I was going to announce that I was training, and then COVID happened, and
But we're back.
we went off the rails for a year. But talking about social media makes me then think of another question I had for you. What do the people that you go to school with, what does your family think about the fact that you are now training to be a wrestler? Like, do they know do the people that you go to school with in your family know this side of Catherine? Like, what are their thoughts?
So my friends, they don't really like obviously they support me and they want me to succeed in everything, but they don't really understand, the whole business. Because, my friends, like my closest friends, they aren't wrestling fans at all. So they don't really understand it, but obviously they're gonna support me.
Right,
with
but
everything.
it's a lot of the times if people aren't kind of in that world,
Yeah.
they don't get it, and
Yeah.
I feel like they maybe become a little less supportive because they just don't understand
I
it.
feel like though your guys' stories are very similar because it was, if I do this, what is the support going to look like, or am I even going to get it? With the understanding of them knowing why I'm going to do this.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they're pretty supportive. They don't really ask questions about it or anything because obviously they are interested in it. But I do
Yet.
feel,
Yeah.
yes.
Once you have that first match.
But I do definitely have some support behind me, and especially a lot of my friends that I train with, I've known for almost 2 years now. I'm close to a lot of people here, so from training alone, I have a lot of support.
We really do. And I think I've talked about this before. The support that is in the House of Rage. The support that we feel and get given to us by this group that we're in is incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable just how many people truly want to see us succeed, truly
Yeah.
want to help
Yeah.
any way they can help us succeed. People offering to study matches with us, people offering to come help us with extra ring time, people wanting to help us put matches together, to study moves, to go over our character.
People doing
I mean,
seminars.
It's
just
crazy, just the
Yeah.
amount of outpouring of support. They're like, if you need this, if you need that, feel free to message me anytime. And we have that said to us 15 times by different people, and it's kind of overwhelming to feel that supported. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's kind of bizarre. It's not so much foreign to me, but it's really bizarre to me to have that much genuine. Because I'm just not used to having 20 people who are like, I love you and I want to see you succeed, message me anytime. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Do
definitely.
you mean it though?
Okay, so do you have anything left? Because I am tapped out.
One more question.
One more question,
One more
guys.
question, I think. Well, 2 more questions. Because I think, we kind of touched on it when we talked about you taking your first bump. It's kind of a 2-part question. What is the most difficult thing that you've experienced training in wrestling?
Probably Germans. Honestly,
listen.
those scare the
Same.
absolute crap out of me.
They're such an intimidating bump to take, aren't they? Because you're totally blind. I mean, you have to. If you're jumping with the person, 'cause there are some people who can deadlift, like our trainer Rocky. some people, when you're taking a German, can just throw you.
Yeah.
You don't have to really do anything but tuck your chin and trust him to throw you. That's the thing, though. You don't see where you're going.
Yeah.
You have to tuck your chin, which I'm notoriously bad at. You have to trust that you're going to land properly. It's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. To
Honestly,
take that bump.
any type of bump or move that involves me being flipped or thrown, I'm still really, nervous about, because I'm really light. I'm very skinny. So literally, like, Talise can pick me up and throw me.
I body slam this chick.
Literally.
Easy mode.
Like, everybody in there can just pick me up and throw me wherever they want.
Yeah.
So, obviously, like, the bigger moves, I'm going to take, like, crazy because of my size. And, like, it's just nervous. Like, it makes me nervous because, I'm obviously going to be thrown, not necessarily harder, but
Yeah.
like, people give me Germans and I'm like,
And your lightness takes them off guard. And I think sometimes they may overcompensate because they're used to it.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
she goes,
gosh.
poor thing goes flying. 'Cause
yeah.
She weighs like nothing.
yeah,
So-
people underestimate how hard they have to get me up to
Yeah.
go.
They do.
So I'm just going. I'm
As light as a feather.
woo. Yeah, but yeah, definitely big flippy moves have been the most, nerve-wracking for
Yeah.
me.
So that's the most difficult. The other parts of the question is, what has been the most rewarding thing that you've gotten out of training so far?
Probably, it's a hard one. Because, like, obviously everything that I've done so far has been rewarding to me, because I'm seeing myself, do things that I had no idea I was capable of doing. But I don't know.
I think that's honestly a really good answer, though. What
Yeah.
you already said, because that just goes to show you how much you're in your head.
I'm just playing with my screen, guys.
That just goes to show how much you're in your head, and you don't even really realize it, I think, sometimes, because when you do these things and you do it successfully and you do it well, like we did DDTs last week. This girl,
Yes.
I tell you what, she was rocking taking a DDT, she was rocking giving a DDT, and you were so nervous.
I was
Because we
terrified.
were working together. She was giving DDTs to me, and then I was giving it to her. She was so nervous to give me a DDT,
was.
and then guess what? You did it like perfect.
Yay!
So
See, okay, yeah, that actually gave me a better answer for that question. Whenever I do moves and I, do them not perfectly, obviously, because I'm brand new to this whole thing, but if I do them successfully enough, like our head trainer, he's like, heck yeah, you just did that,
Right.
And it just makes me feel good because, he's been a wrestler for God knows how long.
11 years.
11 years.
I am God.
And he's
Cut that.
and he's, telling me that I'm doing things and they look good. That's really rewarding to me.
It really
It makes
is.
me feel
Yeah.
very, very, very nice.
And it becomes one of these things where the people that are training you week in and week out, you really want to make them proud. Like you just have you develop this sense of, I want to make them happy with what I'm doing. I want to make them proud. I don't want to let them down. I want to represent them. I want to represent the school. I want to really do well and go far to build the reputation that the House of Rage already has.
Because it's paying homage to that starting point.
Right.
Because even though you guys took that first step to start that process, you need somebody along the way to get you
Yeah.
to where you want to be at. And it's just, it's paying thanks. And it's keeping that homage there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you want to do a outro for us that we use as our beginning?
Sure.
So tell her what she needs to say.
So you'll say, welcome to Pinups and Pinfalls, and then say your character's name, and then whatever your gimmick line is.
Oh, I don't think. Do you have a gimmick line?
Don't.
I
Then
don't
just
even have
fly.
a gimmick
Then
line.
just do one off the
Just
fly.
say this is.
Just say, hey, this is Pinups and Pinfalls. What was your
Demonia.
I didn't want to say that. And you would just go, hey, this is Pinups and Pinfalls, and I'm Demonia, and then be like, welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
There you go. I mean, just anything. anything like that. I mean, you don't have to say just that.
Okay.
Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Hold on, pause.
Make it easier to cut it. Thanks all.
What? This is.
Well, didn't we have other people say this is so and so, and you're listening to Pinups and Pinfalls, or
there
you're
you
watching
go.
Pinups and
Okay,
Pinfalls?
yeah.
Pinups and Pinfalls. Oh my gosh, I need to get my channel name right.
Okay. Ready?
Go ahead.
Do it.
Hi, this is Demonia, and you're watching Pinups and Pinfalls.
Thank you, guys. We miss you all. You'll see more.
Yep, we might actually be back later for another interview.
Maybe.
Wonder who it could be. Secrets. Spoilers. You'll have to wait.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Catherine.